So ladies and gentlemen, before we carry on any further with this episode, I have some exciting news to share with all of you today. Right now, in this very moment, I have actually decided to go traveling, an expedition of some sort, some may call it. And I hear you asking, well, why are you going to do this all of a sudden? Well, I'm going to go across the world through torrential rain, ice cold blizzards, scorching heat, climb the highest mountains, all in the search of this sacred artifact known as common sense. Nobody's managed to find it so far. If somebody's got to risk their lives so this stops happening on a weekly basis, I'll be the one to do it. Maybe I have to go to Jumanji or something to find it. That's how sacred it all is. I'll let you know how it all goes. I'll call it JD's Travels. As you've seen by the title and thumbnail, nonetheless, we have another transgender athlete entering a women's sport, dominating and finishing in first place. Oh, would you look at that? This, by the way, is labelled by the liberals, progressives, leftists as a non-issue. Right? We shouldn't be focusing on this. It's not even affecting anybody. The individual truth is the truth, etc., etc. You know how the story goes by now. This time, it's cycling. Once again, we covered something recently where another cyclist entered a sport, dominated, and won. No, it's a non-issue though. Let's check out this article by the New York Post. Controversy erupts after transgender cyclist Austin Killips wins women's race, branded insane. Transgender cyclist Austin Killips has finished in first place in the women's category in the Tour of the Gila. Killips broke free from the pack late in the final stage of the Tour in New Mexico, clocking in at 3 hours, 7 minutes, 16 seconds in a time that saw them take the top spot on the podium ahead of Marcela Prieto and Cassandra Nelson by a margin of 89 seconds. The elite level road race came with a whopping prize money of $35,000 for first place. So let's just break this down as we always do in these videos. Austin Killips, biological man, enters a women's sport, wins, dominates, wins $35,000, which by the way is around £28,000, and apparently this is all fair. Maybe I should start traveling now. All jokes aside now, right? And I'm going to say what I always say. Everybody says it. You say it. These women sacrifice their lives for a sport. In this case, cycling. They train every single day. I don't actually think liberals realize how hard it is to train for a sport. Coincidentally, they are the side that preaches it's fat phobia to lose weight. Maybe there's a coincidence there. Who knows? But these women sacrifice everything. Give their lives. All of that to be thrown out the window because somebody's feelings matter more at the time than all of these women. How does that make any sense? And that's the core reason of it all. Somebody's feelings matter more than the truth. We reaffirm somebody's feelings at the expense of the truth. How is this any different from doping? It is cheating. But obviously, people fail to recognize that because progressive ideology towers over everything. Here's an interview, nonetheless, that Austin Killips gave, which I'm going to assume is after the race they won, where they looked extremely happy about winning. I mean, who wouldn't? You've just won $35,000 in a race. Really, you shouldn't be in. Take a watch.
Kind of exactly what ended up happening was like me, Kate and Monsi staying together, and they were just so kind and generous and willing to pay such a climbs and make sure that it was possible to get the Gila jersey. And yeah, we just did what we could to ride hard. In terms of the breakaway, I think it got bigger than any of us expected. And they were like, it's like a minute or so. We were like, oh whoa. But Pato Bike did a lot of work to bring it back. Much respect, much appreciated. They really worked to reel it in, which was great, and I think the whole group was working pretty hard and sharing terms.
Right. Anyway, I'm just glad they're happy. They've got $35,000. They've finished in first place. It's all good. I imagine all the women who competed are not that happy. Imagine being the woman finishing in second place to a man. Now, obviously, because of all of this, there was justifiable uproar all over social media for pretty much the reasons we've stated in this video. And essentially, you're destroying women's sports. The more and more men that are allowed to compete against women, it's killing the sports off. Because what's the point in the women competing in the very first place? They know as soon as a man enters, they're going to be at a physical disadvantage. Whether they like to say it out loud or not is another thing. You're making women redundant in the very sport they're competing in. So this has led the cycling governing body to actually reopen their review of transgender people competing within the sport. Funnily enough, they actually defended Austin Killips competing against women, but due to the huge controversy that keeps going on and on and on, they've decided, I imagine, to come back down from Planet Mingmong and discuss the rules whether transgender people should actually be allowed to compete against women. Let's check out this article by the Daily Mail. Cycling's international governing body reopens review into their transgender guidelines after male-born Austin Killips won a US race to be named Queen of the Mountains. Queen of the Mountains. Sometimes I just give up. Cycling's international governing body are to review their transgender guidelines in the wake of the row over American rider Austin Killips. The 27-year-old became the first trans woman to win an elite women's stage race when they rode to victory at the Tour of the Gila in New Mexico on Sunday. This sparked a fresh debate over the UCI's participation policy, which currently allows trans women to compete in female events as long as they have reduced their testosterone levels to 2.5 nanomoles per liter over a 2-year period. The UCI, however, have now announced they will be reopening consultation with athletes and the National Federation regarding their rules, admitting they hear the concerns about an equal playing field for competitors. A decision will be made on whether to change their policy and possibly ban trans women from female events altogether at a meeting in August. Now, this is slow progress, right? Even if it is... Now, this is progress, right? Even if it is slow progress, me personally, I don't really know why they've got to wait until August for a meeting. Just make it an immediate thing. We've seen enough stories now to realize it should be immediate. I think even the British cycling side of things are considering their rules too, which clearly shows you people's voices, opinions are making a change, even if it is very slow. What is funny to me, right? We've all got to wait until these situations happen in the very first place for these governing bodies to be like, you know what? Maybe we should actually change that. Why not stop it before it even happens? That would make more sense, wouldn't it? Because once you change the rules, are you going to make these people hand back the medals, the trophies, the money they've won? Probably not. I personally think, right, for the foreseeable future in these women's sports events, if there's a trans athlete that competes, the women should just drop out. You know, all the women should come together and just say, hey, look, guys, we're not competing. We're dropping out. I know they shouldn't have to drop out, but unfortunately, the trans athlete themselves won't drop out. They entered the women's sport for a reason. And I also understand, you know, sometimes when women speak out, they're scared to lose their sponsorships. They might even be affected in terms of competitions. They might not be allowed to compete in the future. So it's easier just to say nothing and forcefully comply. And it's sad people just have to ignore their own eyes and their own ears, their own thoughts. But I really do think, you know, if all the women come together at a sporting event, are they really going to punish all of them? I don't think so. If all the women come together at a sporting event and say, you know what, we're not competing, first of all, and make worldwide news, I really do think a load of people would get behind it. It's more sad than anything else. You know, as somebody who's into sport, I watch loads of sport. I understand personally how hard it is to compete in a sport. I've never done it at a high level. I've always done it at low and medium levels. And it's just sad because, you know, as a woman, as soon as you enter an event and there's a trans athlete, you know your place is going to be affected, right? All of that work you've put in is just for nothing, really. You know, as we mentioned earlier as well, imagine that woman who finished in second place. She trained exceptionally hard just to have potentially first place taken away from her. That to me is sad, but that is the end of the episode. Nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, if you have enjoyed today, then please, for me, make sure to leave a like rating. If you're new, hit that big red subscribe button and turn on bell notifications so you never miss a video. However, until next time, it has been your boy JD. Have a great day. Stay safe. I'm out. Peace.